Okay, welcome to my third video. If you're watching this, by this time you probably already know the deal. This is going to be a low-key, low-chaos playthrough of Dishonored with some lore discussion and commentary along the way. Let's get started. So we are somewhere else. Okay, we are in what looks like our bedroom, but we will soon find out it is not. This doorway's all bricked up. Some posters. We open the door and we are somewhere else. So we are now in the void. So this is the other dimension from which all magic in this world comes. See representations of the real world there. Some boats floating. Other bits of the world floating. The Caldwin banner.
Hello, Corvo. Your life has taken a turn, has it not? The Empress is dead. Her precious daughter Emily is lost somewhere in the city, and you will play a pivotal role in the days to come. For this, I have chosen you and drawn you into the void. I am the outsider, and this is my mark. There are forces in the world and beyond the world, great forces that men call magic. And now, these forces will serve your will. Use this newfound power, my gift to you. Come find me.
Alright, so a lot of people try to do a no powers run on this game like you can in the second game. It's almost possible. There are two places where you have to use a power of some kind, but for the most part, I mean, except for this section, obviously, you can do it. It's tough. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I've done it once. I don't have any desire to do it again. And here's our mana potion, blue mana as usual. I actually made a prop of that potion vial. It's pretty neat. Unfortunately, I broke it. It's really good art here. Morgan and Custis Pendleton. They look like Trevor, but they don't look exactly like him, so you can easily believe that they're brothers. Corvo, I am very sad. They say that you are dead like mother, but I'm going to put this note in a bottle and throw it into the river because I do not believe them. Living here is very strange. I do not like it, so please come for me if you can. Here's one of the whales you see floating through the void. A lot of people have ideas about what this means, what the importance of whales is, what's the connection to the outsider. My interpretation is that the whales exist simultaneously in the void and in the real world, and that's why their oil has all this magic. So you can see here this supposed to be a little map of Dunwall that the Regent's playing with. That map, it's not a real map of the city. I think it's actually an old map of London that they scanned and then put down there. I don't think anyone expected them to actually care what the map looked like. So there's the map of the coast of Bristol. There's Dunwall, so you can see how the river kind of comes down from the north. So you can see why people would expect the Runhaven would flow north to south instead of east to west. So that's why there's some confusion. Some tall boys here. Meet them later in the game, shooting at either plague victims or maybe just survivors. They're drugged, so they just kill anything. So there have been some speculations on the nature of the void in this game. You'll encounter some books. I think Sokolov wrote one of them. What exactly it is, some people think of it as some kind of afterlife. That's only partly true. People who die, whose souls are in turmoil or violently, they linger in the void until they're destroyed along with it. But people who live kind of virtuous righteous lives, their reward is actually just non-existence. So that's kind of grimdark.
In the days that follow, your trials will be great, Corvo. Seek the ancient runes bearing my mark in the lonely places of your world, and at shrines raised in my name. These runes will grant you powers beyond those of other men. To help you find these runes, I give you this, the heart of a living thing, molded by my hands. With this heart, you will hear many secrets, and it will guide you toward my runes, no matter how they may be hidden. Listen to the heart now, and find another rune.
So the heart is voiced, once again, by April Stewart, who's also the voice of the Empress. So this is the first indication that this heart is actually Jessamine's heart, that the Outsider has taken and turned into an artifact for you to use. It's more explicit in the second game, but here it's only implied. And if you use the heart on this location...
This place is the end of all things, and the beginning. All of time's meaning is here. Neither seconds, nor centuries. Someday this place will devour all the lights in the sky.
So that line is the basis for some people's speculation that the void is actually a black hole, or the inside of a black hole, or the surface of a black hole, and that the world of Dishonored is actually somehow orbiting a black hole. Who knows? It's just one theory. And like I said, there have been books written about what the void is in the game. Meditations on the void by Barnoli Molani. You see different volumes of that, and The Hungry Cosmos, written by Sokolov himself, all seem to imply that the void is somehow devouring all the other stars in the sky. But one thing we know is that the void kind of requires an avatar to focus its magic, and that being at the moment the Outsider. Otherwise, the magic would just be random and chaotic. So you learn more about the Outsider explicitly in the next game, so I won't go too much into him now.
One who walks all things, cradle songs of comfort and bones gnawed by teeth.
I actually made one of these myself once. I made it out of camel bone. It looked pretty good. Alright, so here you can see other powers you can level up to. I personally despise dark vision. At least I hate watching it. It looks horrible on the screen. I usually just go for blink and agility. Everything else, not very too useful for a stealth playthrough, so we'll save the runes.
How you use what I have given you falls upon you, as it has to the others before you. And now I return you to your world, but know that I will be watching with great interest.
Yeah, his whole idea is that he basically gives people powers just to see what they'll do with them. Just for his own entertainment. And there's our mark. Now, if you get the definitive edition of this game, it includes a DLC called the Voidwalker's Arsenal. It's basically a bunch of bone charms and power-ups and loot and extra things. They're all kind of gathered around this area here when you wake up. I think it makes the player way overpowered, so I got this game long ago when it first came out, so I don't have that, which is fine with me. I think it's unnecessary. One place that I forgot to look at earlier is this tower. So let's come over here. It may be locked. Oh, no, it's not. So this is where Emily will stay once we eventually find her. Trials of Aptitude, I've already read that. You'll see books repeat all the time, even if you've already read them. Called to the Spheres, Volume 1. Excerpt from a work of fiction, early chapters. My stomach twisted as the engines of the odd vessel roared louder. It was the creation of Orcado, third prefect from the Academy of Natural Philosophy. He was exhilarated, savoring each of the small craft's undulations. Orcado pulled a lever, and a great gout of smoke surrounded us. The smell of burning whale oil grew unbearable as the machine propelled itself upward. I was too afraid to look through the window, which suddenly didn't feel thick enough. As if knowing my thoughts, Overseer Bryn looked at me and smiled. Recite some of the litany, my pupil. It will protect your heart from the turpitude of the void on our way to the outer spheres. So that's Volume 1. You'll see other volumes elsewhere in the game. These dolls here, there are multiple copies of them, but it's Emily's doll, and its name is actually Mrs. Pilson. At least one of them is. The Fugue Feast. Excerpt from a book on the celebrations and holidays. At the end of every year, after the last day of the month of songs, we begin the Fugue Feast. The new year has not started, and thus time that follows is outside the calendar. A period of celebration and feasting begins during which the people abandon the very practices that keep them whole and healthy over the year. Many leave their homes euphoric with spirits or potent herbs. Some paint their faces or wear masks to conceal themselves as they pursue their passions without reservation. When the right cosmological signs are observed and it is time for the calendar to begin anew, the sitting high overseer calls for the hymn of atonement and the Fugue Feast ends. Families return to their homes, wives to their husbands, enemies put down their weapons, and fires are extinguished. No complaint is given for those who have wronged others, deviated from ancient codes, or discarded oaths, for this time during the astrological alignment does not exist and is not recorded. The following day starts the new year, marked on the first day of the month of Earth, as it has always been. So this is it's interesting, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It's like, you murdered my child. But it happened during this day, so I guess I can't count it. I guess we're all good now. So, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It is significant that this book is located in this particular room where Emily will stay, so it gives you some clue.
Elementary sums. History of the Isles. Geography of the Isles. The Seven Strictures. Litany of the White Cliff. Sayings of the Overseer. One day we'll get a few new books.
The first voice of Callista, who we haven't quite met yet. And one other thing that I neglected is a book that is down here. Kind of hidden away on the floor here. Sokolov Technology in the New Age. Excerpt from a recent book detailing Sokolov's machines. One of the advantages of Sokolov's technologies is that they share the same magnetic socket for the tanks of processed whale oil they use as fuel. When a tank is exhausted, another can be plugged into place with ease, and the process is simple enough that any common workman or even the lower guardsman of the City Watch can handle the task. This applies to the arc pylon and wall of light security systems, as well as the powered carriages for transport by those few who are wealthy enough to afford them. The only obvious downside of Sokolov's designs is the volatility of the tanks themselves. A few incidents have occurred, resulting in damage to property or bodily harm whenever one of the tanks has exploded. So that just tells you the hazards of the tank, which we kind of already saw in the last video when I accidentally killed Piero. Is this a new audiograph?
Does part of the soul live in the heart? If the heart keeps beating, does that mean that the spirit is never released into oblivion? I can keep a heart beating forever with electricity, but what does that mean for any essence trapped within? It'd be easier if I created these processes in waking hours. I am uneasy pursuing avenues that emanate from my dreaming mind.
Okay, and yeah, once again we see that Piero's ideas come from dreams, probably inspired by the outsider. And once again, released into oblivion is the best you can hope for in this world. I think we already read that book. Okay, let's go get our first proper mission.
If you like, but he won't use it.
Why?
He can't sleep in regular beds anymore, or that's what he says. Says he was in the Navy too long. Can you believe it?
Oh,
That pile of wood out there? It's a hovel he built from an old rowboat. Where does Admiral Havelock find these people, I wonder?
Where's that coming from? Upstairs? It's weird audio in this game.
Well, let's get down to it. First off, I know that assassination is dark business, but sometimes good men have to do bad things to make the world right. Our purpose is clear. We want to restore Her Majesty's line by finding and putting Emily Kaldwin on the throne. To those ends, we'll hide, act in shadow, take them apart, piece by piece. Tonight, High Overseer Campbell dies by your hand. It won't be easy. He's protected by his overseers, an army of religious zealots. But if anyone can do it, you can. Your exploits are legendary. Campbell carries a private journal. Once you've eliminated him, get the journal, because we think it contains Emily's location. Recovering her is obviously critical, assuming she's alive. That's the gist of it. Remember our cause and strike true. We're counting on you. Another thing. Campbell is holding a former overseer by the name of Martin. He's one of us, and if you manage to find him, give him whatever help you can. He's a master strategist, and he got caught working for our cause. It'd be good to have him back here at the Hound Pits.
Interesting. I actually have a glass that looks almost exactly like the one he's holding right there. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. It's from IKEA. It's called the Frizera whiskey tumbler glass. So if you want a prop that kind of looks like the same pattern as in the game, yeah, look that up. So the heart dialogue for Cecilia and Wallace and Lydia are all just generic NPC lines, so I won't use the heart on them. I won't really tell you anything significant about them.
Lord Pendleton Memoirs, Chapter 27. In my 13th year, the despised stepmother at last departed, and Pendleton Hall was again quiet, although Father had by then sunk into deep depression. It was at this sensitive time that Waverly Boyle first entered my life. She who will be the source of many tender recollections to come.
Are you a nobleman, Corvo? No one seems to know much about you. By your bearing, I'd say so. Lord Pendleton's great-grandfather took a Sokonan chambermaid to wife. On second thought, the story doesn't bear repeating. Even the finest blood can go bad here and there.
So Corvo is actually not noble. He was born in Serkonos, in Karnaca, and he was made an officer of the Grand Guard at an early age, at the age of 16, after winning this sword tournament called the Blade Verbena. And he was given an early commission. And he was so good at his job, he was sent to Dunwall, kind of as a gift from the Duke, to work for Emperor Euhorn, and that's where he met Jessamine and eventually became her bodyguard. You see this painting a couple of times in the game as well. I think I've done everything here. See if Havelock's got an updated log.
Corvo seems to have arrived in good shape. Much better than I expected, given what I've seen of Coldridge Prison. He seems willing to work with us, and he shouldn't lack for motivation. The man has lost everything. We'll judge how he performs in the field. And if I can, I'll find a way to test him personally.
The log is still the same? Yes. already read these books, I think. You can use the heart on this location generally.
In the basements below, hound kills hound, and money changes hands.
Good day, Master Corvo. Lydia and I trade chores sometimes, and I'm starting to think I never come out ahead. She's a smart one.
What's this book? Oh, Volume 2. Yeah, we already read that as well. Hard to keep track of all the books you've read. Alright, let's use the heart on Havelock here.
Admiral Havelock has seen more corpses than all the rest put together. He has killed whales and men for profit and in pleasure. He has the bloodlust. He tried to seize control of the military after the Empress.
Yep, there it is.
After the Empress, was murdered.
So there's your first indication that the heart is actually Jessamine's heart.
Look at him. Admiral Havelock grows restless on land. Such laughter, and they're singing the old songs, linking arms. But that was from a happier time.
Okay, I didn't go down here before, but there's not a whole lot down here. It's just a road. That's where I destroyed the loudspeaker before. You see some of the menu of the Hound Pits pub. Nice hearty fare there. Notice to all patrons. In light of the recent and terrible rat plague, this establishment is closed to the general public until further notice. Once the plague has passed, we will happily take your coin again and provide you with nights of debauchery and merriment. Admiral Farley Havelock. Interesting they made a sign like that for the plague. It doesn't look temporary, it looks pretty permanent. There's a entry to the sewer. Go there a little bit later. I'm not much of a completionist, so I'm not going to go after every single rune and bone charm. Some players do, but we'll go after this one. Way over here. Try and swim past the hagfish. They're trying to eat us. And got it. Okay. I think we have 2, so we can now upgrade agility. Okay. And really the only other one I'm looking at is Blink 2, so we'll save up until we get that. There's a little bit of loot over in this half-sunken boat over here. I don't quite remember what exactly it is, but I know it's there. Let's go see. It's a sextant. 100 coin. That gateway into the sewers, we actually open up that a little bit later. Let's use the heart on Sam here.
Samuel Beechworth went to sea to forget a hopeless love. He succeeded. The boatman has a good
When you want to
heart
set out,
and
just
respects
give the
you.
word.
Samuel is a simple man, but he knows the river Redhaven and all its tributaries,
I'm ready when you are.
down to the smallest inlet. He has many scars, some from the phlegm of the river crusts,
I'm at your service.
some from the nameless monsters of the deep ocean. Samuel was once eager to hear
I
Havelock's
look forward
stories
to
of
my
the sea,
adventures with you, sir.
but perhaps the Admiral is not what he expected. Samuel Beechworth went to sea
Okay, and that's everything from him
a
now.
hopeless love. He succeeded.
Sometimes if you use your powers in front of characters, they'll make little comments, but not yet. Maybe later. Okay. And here's Callista.
Corvo. Hello.
Voiced by Lena Headey.
I'm Callista. I work here for Admiral Havelock. I'm sorry to intrude on your business, but this is important. I suspect you're going to kill the High Overseer. That wretched man. There's really no reason for you to listen to me. But my uncle, Jeff Kernow, still serves as captain in the city.
So we met him
watch.
at the beginning of the game.
But he's a good man, and my only family. The chatter in servant circles is that Campbell just took delivery of an exotic poison. And I think I know why. My uncle's not corruptible like the rest of them. Campbell is going to poison my uncle. Do you think you could protect him? You used to do that, right? Before you had your current profession. Before you became an assassin.
I haven't assassinated anyone yet.
She is Callista Kernow. She has learned to defend herself in this treacherous city. She and her uncle, the last of the Kernow family. She dreams of freedom, and the decks of whaling ships fast after the beasts of the sea. But alas, she is a woman, such sadness. She is Callista Kernow. She has learned to defend herself in this treacherous city.
I overheard the Admiral at breakfast, talking about the Overseers. That's all I heard. And I think it's better if I don't know too much about what you people are doing.
Yeah. Now where's Piero? I think he's up here. There he is.
Each and every night the black-eyed outsider visits upon Piero's dreams. He is Piero Joplin. Even now he visualizes the next invention. Astonishing. I wish you could see it too. Poor Piero. His elixirs have cured so much for so many, but they cannot cure his brain fevers. The youngest ever to pass through the Academy of Natural Sciences. Sokolov will never forgive him that. He has spied upon Callista as she bathes, more than once. Each and every night the black-eyed outsider visits upon Piero's dreams.
A little bit of a slip up there. They called it Academy of Natural Sciences, not Natural Philosophy. Don't know if I have a lot more money for upgrades, but get some sleep bolts, regular bolts. I don't think we need too many mana potions. We find those pretty readily during the mission. Well, I think that's it. Okay. I think that's about it. Let's go off onto our first mission here.
Ready to go? Just give the signal.
Yep, let's go. High Overseer Campbell leads the city's militant religious faction and is a close ally to the Lord Regent. Campbell is completely corrupt and holds the secret to Emily's location. Infiltrate the office of the High Overseer, steal Campbell's journal, and eliminate him. An ally to the Loyalists, Martin is being held there. Free him and allow him to escape. Really enjoy this approach scene. You see some of the city architecture. Nice moon. See some of the ruined piles of old bridges out in the water.
The other half's fighting over what's left. The City Watch still holds the bigger streets, and they've set up those wall of light checkpoints. A man walks through one of those, and he ends up burned to a crisp. Everything not controlled by the City Watch is gang territory. Then there are the real odd birds living on the fringes, like that Granny Rags. They say she's nuts. Don't know which is worse. Just take your pick.
Also, the raindrops on the glass of the mask. Very nice. Zoom in here. You see some dead counters there.
2, 3, heave!
A lot of people don't use the zoom, or even know that you can use it. I find it pretty useful. So about here is where you see the tutorial notification for Chaos. I turned off all these because I know about them, but this is where you start to see being told that your actions affect the outcome of the game.
But easy, the city's dead. Keep him in the boat. Canal's got enough shit in it as it is.
Yoink. And he might get eaten by rats here, but I'm not going to worry too much about it right now.
Hey, you're such a choffer.
Dead bodies being loaded onto this barge. There's a note that I'm looking for that should be around here. Might be in the next mission though. So this is the Distillery District. It contains the distillery, obviously. Civilians.
Sorry, I can't help you. I don't know this area well.
So as long as you don't scare them or do anything violent, civilians won't bother you, so you can interact with them.
Following direct contact with an infected or weeping individual, you are required to remain in isolation for 2 continuous days. If signs of infection occur, report for transport to the flooded district.
It's a map. So if you look at a map, it's then stored in your notes. You don't have to keep coming back to it to look at it. You can look at it any time. Some people seem not to know that. Same with audiographs and notes and mission clues. So here's the Bitterleaf Almshouse. We read the book, The Shadow on Bitterleaf, before, so it refers to this place here.
Others down with the sickness.
And note, any building that's got this sort of white paint, whitewash splashed on the first floor, that's a plague-ridden building. It usually has a sign outside and these barriers blocking the doors. Okay, let's go talk to Granny Rags.
I told you the
Lots of lore behind Granny Rags.
Oh no, that's not a nice thing. Just garbage. Garbage, 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 garbage. All of it.
Voiced by Susan Sarandon, obviously. And let's get some loot here. Moray urn. A little bit of foreshadowing there. And some sleep darts. That's why I tend not to top off what I buy. You find a lot of this stuff during the mission. Or a war medal.
Me instead. Granny, Granny, Granny.
Alright, let's talk to Granny.
Dear? Is that you, my dear husband? My eyes aren't what they used to be. Have you seen my little birdies? The dear things must be starving without their granny. Here, birdies. Here. Oh, my, my, my. I think I have gentlemen callers again, but not the way I used to, not the nice ones. I hear them, and they're not very polite ones either. Granny Rags, let us in. Ah, well, they'll go away again if they know what's good for them. But what a bother. Here's the key to the front door, love. You'll see to those ruffians, won't you?
Alright, so let's go take care of the gentleman callers. Easiest to do it from above.
Yes, I would.
I have done a no kills, no detections run before, but it takes a long time. It's not super easy. It's kind of a slog, so I'm not going to go for that right now. I'm sure you don't want to watch it, so I'll take care of these guys. I won't worry about detections.
We're here. She's not. You look like garbage. Can't hold your drink. Someone's about to get shanked.
Okay, well they didn't see me, but they're not that bright. Easier than I thought it was going to be to loot these guys.
Oh no, that's...
I did it, Granny.
Oh, my dear. I knew you'd help me with those ill-mannered boys. My brave man. Listen, Granny has a birthday present for you. I got it from the outsider, and now I'm giving it to you. Go on. It's upstairs. On the vanity. I think you'll cut a nice figure with it. Remember how we used to dance? Our parties were even grander than those at the Boyle Manor. Everyone wanted to come. I think the little birdies are sad today.
Kind of have to wonder how she got a boat up into this apartment and why she calls it a vanity. Alright, and we get our birthday present.
I hope you like the little gift I got for you. It's the least I could do for turning those louts away. I can't bear these Bottle Street children. Ruffians, every last one of them. Rotten apples. And that slack jaw is the worst of the lot. You know what I just thought of? You could do something else for me. Another little favor. And I'd give you another present. Another lovely rune carved from the bones of a dead whale. Do you remember my doctor, dear? Dr. Galvani? Now there was a clever man. He's got all sorts of nasty rat guts and disease in his laboratory. Wouldn't it be a shame if some of that mess found its way into the Bottle Street Gang's elixir still? That'd teach him. See to it, dear. I'll find you another present just like the first. Galvani lives on Clavering Boulevard, or at least he used to. Those were the days. Now run off. My baby birdies are hungry. So precious. But they're shy. You'll have to go, or they won't come.
Okay, so this is Granny Rags, obviously. Her real name is Vera Moray. She was born Vera Dougal, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Morley around 1765.
Yes, I would.
She married Lord Preston Moray in 1790. So people think she's like 100 years old. She's really only about 72, but I guess outsider worship ages you faster.
I told you the knives go on the left. They've always gone on
When
the
she was
left.
young, she was a highly sought-after aristocrat, sought out for marriage, and was even proposed to by the emperor at the time, Alexei Oleskier. But she turned him down in favor of Preston Moray. In 1807, they took a journey to Pandyssia, where she found cave markings describing outsider rituals.
Oh, no,
and she kind of went a little bit crazy.
Just garbage.
More than a little bit
Garbage,
crazy.
garbage,
She received the outsider's mark, same as Corvo has. She eventually went blind and was committed to the Addermeyer Institute in Karnaka.
I think the little birdies are sad.
She pretended to get better so that they would release her, and she then returned to Dunwall.
Granny, 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 come out with me instead. Granny, 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 you can't because you're dead.
Not long after that, she killed her husband.
Shut the door. No peeking.
And she used his bones.
Get
Oh,
out.
jeez. Okay, let's not make Granny mad at us. She killed her husband and used his bones to make runes and bone charms. She, not surprisingly, lost her high society status and started living on the streets. Well, she actually had another house, or an apartment rather, in the estate district, which we'll visit later in the game. But eventually she lost that too, and now kind of hangs out in this slum here. She probably ran out of money and had to sell family heirlooms, so You see more family artifacts as loot here and there. So you see she has some of the powers granted by the outsider. She can disappear and kind of teleport, different from Blink, but sneak past her here and go find this shrine, take this room.
Be careful, Corvo. They call her Granny Rags. You wouldn't recognize her real name, or even the name of her family.
But I do, because I just told you.
An emperor begged for her hand once, and rich young men fought each other for her favor. I watched her consider them all, measure their worth, and find them wanting. Then, she made a different choice. You're on your way to face the High Overseer, the leader of a great cult dedicated to loathing me. What will you do, I wonder?
Chew. Granny has work to do.
So I don't usually do the poison the still mission, but I'll do it this time just to show how that goes. But there is a little bit of lore up here, if I can get up there. See a dead corpse here. Lookout's orders. Plant your ass on the roof and watch the streets. See who comes to the almshouse. And see if that old lady knows anything. She's blind, but maybe she heard something. Slackjaw. So we'll meet Slackjaw a bit later. Some bolts. So he was probably shot by an assassin from the Whaler gang. One of Dowd's men.
Attention, Gunwall citizens. This is a special announcement from our Honorable Lord Regent.
Honorable?
This is the Lord Regent speaking. It is with regret that I announce that my term as Lord Regent has been extended through the month of harvest and actually beyond. In addition, in this continuing crisis, the overseers of the Abbey of the Everyman remain in service to the state and are empowered to enforce order whenever and wherever necessary. We owe our thanks to High Overseer Campbell for the generous loan of their services.
Never gets old. Mother's Journal. 8th entry. It's the 4th day of the month of rain. Morris is sick and so are the children. I've avoided it thus far, which is good fortune, since it has fallen on me to care for them. 9th entry. The city watch comes and goes, knocking on doors and asking for signs of plague. Even our neighbors cannot be trusted. Earlier it was difficult to keep the children quiet. Now they sleep most of the time. 10th entry. The flies have set in. I try to keep them away, but I can barely get close. They stink so. Most of the time Morris won't answer me when I try to talk to him from across the room. 11th entry. Morris is gone. I don't know what I'll do. For now all my hope is reserved for the children. Leaving the flat for a while near dawn, I found some plague bags from a guard booth where no one was around. It took a while, but I got Morris into one of the bags. At least his face is covered. 12th entry. Young Robert has passed. The star of my sky is gone. Page missing. 17th entry. Elise stopped breathing in the middle of the night. She was such a headstrong girl. I can hardly believe she was overcome. She was always near as I cut up hagfish or vegetables, arguing with me about everything. 18th entry. It is the 4th day of the month of wind. It has settled in that they are lost to me. All of them. I cannot bring myself to call the dead counter. 19th entry. I have the fever now. No guards come near any more.
That's not what we heard. Just cold. Are you sure?
Timeless children's rhymes. Not looking forward to this either. These are awful. They say that Jimmy Whitcomb Riley was a brawler his mates called Smiley. He ran around up and down town pulling off every kind of crimey. That's awful. On Bottle Street he hung with the boys, throwing bricks and bottles and other toys. They'd start a fight, then run and hide, breaking laughing, far and wide. Smiley liked to eat and drink all day and smash and bash the night away. Drunk and all alone he drifted off a-sleeping, sitting on the bridge along John Clavering. When he woke, something strange he found, stranger than a singing wolfhound. He'd become a blue-jug-hatted fish, most slimy, and all he remembered his name was Smiley. They say that Jimmy Whitcomb Riley was never seen again for all of timey, but he swam around up and down, drinking from the river, crying, "Why me?" Oh, that's awful. Not a very good rhyme. I already read that one.
Fact is, Bottle Street is here to take its cut.
Alright, let's go rescue Griff.
Let's get this done. Yeah, and the inspection fee. We can't help it. Just the way we do things on Bottle Street.
There's that agility upgrade. Alright, let's take these guys out. Ow! That wasn't very elegant, but got the job done, I guess. Sometimes you get your bolts back by looting a body, but not always.
I owe you, brother. I want to ask about the mask. I wouldn't want my face seen either, pulling a stunt like that. You know what? I'll return the favor. Come by Griff's shop. That's my business. Well, it was at one time, but now I'm reduced to scavenging things from here and there as the city dies. If you need anything, I wouldn't mind trading for a little money. Maybe someday the plague will blow over and everything will go back to normal. But until then, it's scavenging for me.
Speaking of which, you can actually just come in here and take all of his money and stuff. He doesn't seem to care much. Hear the howling of a bone charm there. Unnerving targets. Bone charms, excerpt from a book on sailing traditions in Scrimshaw. Bone charms, a sailor's blessing, they say. The carving itself is a practice from long back, passed from father to son, old man Saul to greenhorn still getting his sea legs beneath him. In the old times, men cut into the tusks of ice seals and into the arm-long fangs of bears that roamed the isles north of Tivia. Once the whale trade began, the practitioners went to engraving the bones of those great beasts, rendering charms that sing in the night and grant some small boon to a man's vigor or defense against pregnancy. So they're small power-ups, constant effect power-ups. Unnerving target, activate that. Enemies have a slight chance to miss. Alright. So here's Blood Ox Way, where we are, as opposed to Ox Blood Way, where the Academy of Natural Philosophy is located. So we're now on the other side of the Wall of Light. And if we want to go to Galvani's house, the easiest way is this way. Go up here and up and over behind this sign here. So here's the first part of Clavering Boulevard.
Fucking longer do I have to fuck?
And let's go into Galvani's office. This is one of my favorite locations in this game. Kind of a mad scientist lab area. If I could live in any one part of this game, it'd be either this place or Sokolov's house. There are some guards downstairs. We'll not deal with them quite yet. We'll come back to this in the next mission.
Wait,
so
did you touch the door handle to Dr. Galvani's lab?
Yeah, I think so.
Then you have to scrub.
That's
the rats
Ms.
get their
Benton.
vital essences everywhere, the doctor said.
I forget the guard's name.
Vital essences? Does that mean guts?
I think so. So your hands need scrubbing. You're unclean.
Unclean? That's nonsense. Can't we just...
No, I told you. With rubbing alcohol or white vinegar.
All right, all right. What is he doing there all day? Ambrose says he breeds rats that carry the plague.
Your friends are ignorant. The doctor is a brilliant man. If anyone can save this city, it's him.
The royal physician is going to save us. I hear his new elixir is twice as good against the plague.
I don't understand how Galvani can admire Sokolov. Royal physician or not, I hear Telly's a beast. A superstitious philanderer who spends more time with prostitutes than he does in the laboratory.
It's about accurate.
Is this what it's going to be like when we're married? It is, isn't it?
I hope not. I'm telling you now, I don't have the endurance for it.
Little things like that make the game really unique. Sneak around the side. So Galvani, Luigi Galvani, he's named pretty much unchanged after a real-life Italian doctor who did experiments on bioelectrical signals in animals.
What will I do now?
And in this game, he's a vivisectionist. Kendall. He's also from Sokonos, same as Corvo and Dowd.
Huh? Nothing after all.
I have to keep this position. He says to bring a bottle, I bring a bottle.
Now that I think of it, a lot of the main characters in this game are not native to Bristol. Okay, now we're in the lab. So you see lab stuff here, equipment, scientific equipment. Galvani. The latest case should arrive within a week, containing all the components you need. Be careful with the white phosphorus. Can't have you getting Fossy Jaw like the tanners at the edge of the city, poor bastards. Sorry you have to practice in secret. The vivisectionist should be celebrated, revered even. Cutting up rats should be done in the town square with a crowd of eager students taking notes, not in some dirty little secret room hidden behind a wall of books. Anyway, lucky for you to have an old friend who never left the academy. Let me know what else you need, but remember, it might be a month before I can put together another shipment. Yours in knowledge, Artemis Moore, Procurement Clerk and Provisioner, Academy of Natural Philosophy, South Wing. P.S. Next time you're nearby, come in for an afternoon. We've stayed fairly insulated from the plague since so few come and go here, and we've got quite the stock of Tivian brandy. Yeah, so again, notice they'll harvest oil from whales while the animal's still alive, but performing vivisection on rats, that's just a bridge too far. So here's a whale physiology diagram. I actually have a reproduction of this. It's right behind me right now. I have a little chalkboard on an easel, and I reproduced this in chalk, right down to the little notes around the side. 287, written very prominently. Wonder what that is. Spin the globe. And open the not-so-secret room. And we found his secret room. Here's our rat viscera. Sewer capacity in the month of Nets. Excerpted interview attached to a formal report by CityWorks Crew 17A. I have been asked to tell the problem, so here it is. It's been every year that we work like men gone mad during the month of Nets. I don't hardly see my family. It's bad enough that the works is clogged up with trash from the catch, Pieces of crates and nets, but the water smells of hagfish guts, too. We got to get it done before the month of rain, or you know what. It ain't like we get help from those pricks in civil engineering, either. Been at this job for nigh on 28 years, and I never see one of them come below. Except to measure will it hold when they go putting up one of their fancy new bridges. So these last 3 years been the worst, and here's why. It's the river crusts. Moved into the works. We hear a man ahead yell and scream like he's burning up, and we all climb up fast. No other choice. It's a little preview of what the river crusts do, which we'll see later. Let's play the audiograph.
Obviously, the plague rat is distinct from the ordinary rat, but in what respect? Its size and the coarseness of its fur, and I believe in intelligence, although the experiments there are not complete. Coriander Zoological Survey describes only the ordinary rat, which means plague rats have only been here for 5 or 7 years at most. This was not a gradual migration. Could they have been introduced on purpose? Perhaps by a foreign power.
Okay, so Galvani thinks the rats have been deliberately introduced from outside. The Leviathan's Sorrow, excerpt from a report on a treatise banned by the Red Sword Trade Council. Little is known of Picotti, credited with this series of pamphlets arguing against the whaling trade. While he is gifted, his views are nonsense and threaten the economic underpinnings of the empire. 1. Enslavement. On the breeding and husbanding of whales versus hunting the beasts in the wild after a natural and free life cycle. Picotti offers no solutions for where these massive, malevolent creatures might be pastured. 2. Dissolution. Laments on the destruction of social bonds between herd members. Picotti actually uses the term families. 3. Harmony. Drivel on the aesthetic wonder of what is, in reality, the great and terrible ocean that ever threatens to swallow us. Includes arguments on the gentle nature of the brutes, a notion refuted by seamen who return to shore, wide-eyed with tales of the whale's savagery. 4. Disruption. Here Picotti is on his weakest footing, issuing up feverish warnings against the displacement or transference of natural beasts from their native environments. I think this Picotti might be the only environmentalist in the whole game. And then, the Rat Plague, excerpt from a Natural Philosopher's Notes. For over a year I've studied this cursed plague, collecting and dissecting rats by the thousands. Given their rapid gestation and maturation cycle, it's been possible to breed them for numerous generations. The rodents themselves seem immune to the plague, but they pass it readily between members of their own species, perhaps through mites. The blood of the rats tells its own story, allowing me to gauge the number of generations that a given group of rats have lived with the plague. As such, a nagging question remains. The rats collected in the poorest parts of town, in the slums, exhibit the oldest strains of the plague, while those found near the docks, where the foreign, plague-bearing rats would presumably have entered our city, exhibit a younger strain of the plague. Could this mean that the rats were transported to the slums in some way that is not obvious? I will continue my research. If nothing else, I am living proof that Sokolov's elixir and Piero's remedy are very effective at protecting against the plague, if one consumes enough of the stuff. So Galvani's maybe getting close to figuring out the true nature of the plague. Okay. And we'll leave the first floor exploration for the next mission. Let's go on out. Oh, I forgot to rob his safe. Well, I'll get it next time. There's Bunting's apartment, the art dealer. See, he's got these banners advertising his latest exhibit. Tivian burial urns. There's the docks where we first came ashore. Perth box, another family heirloom. So this distillery used to be controlled by the Hatter gang, another gang, until it was taken over recently by the Bottle Street gang, headed by Slackjaw. And instead of whiskey, they make bootleg elixir, which we're not supposed to go and infect to get rid of the gang, or at least part of it. Let's go ahead and take a look. And if you listen to
There
Art,
is a strong drink made here. I tried it once. Distilled from processed by the taste of it.
Lord is, he's like a phantom, with an army of shadows in front of him. That guy Dowd? Ain't he just a boss? Like Slackjaw?
learn about Dowd a bit.
This is one odd bird. Consorts with crazies, does rituals and the like, bone charms and such. You sound afraid. Right, I am. Dowd ain't an ordinary man. Touched by the outsider he is, given dark powers. He can slit your throat across the room. Well, that'd give him a leg up for sure. It's no coincidence that most men won't even whisper his name. Is it true that he lives in the flooded district, with them weepers and wild hounds? That's what they say. You got lucky. When you're this handsome, you don't need luck. Face like a hagfish. Hey up. Don't be sour. Say, when's Slackjaw coming down? Not till the next batch of elixirs done. He'll want to check on things.
Some conveniently placed barrels there. Let us blink down and sneak in.
I run the still like...
So that's Craxton back there. He runs the still. I don't know what they need a still for. They just take regular elixir and water it down. Let's see if we can sneak in here and not get seen by anyone. There's a little trap there. Let's see, how do we... Best way to get across there. Remember that chain.
Not to the Abbey or the office of the High Overseer, but one of the other places, where they train the Overseers to be real religious. Crazy. He just wants to know where his brother's going. He sneaks in. You know Eddie. Brilliant at it when he's sober. I remember. Brimsley job. Hidden the dumbwaiter all night. Yeah. So he goes from room to room.
I think the verticality of this game is probably one of its best gameplay features.
Couple guys training with those hounds. Stuff you'd expect. But it gets weird. Some kind of machinery. Then a woman laughing. Just laughing and laughing. Then music. Kind of plinky, plonky sound. That's what's... You sure he wasn't drunk? Says he still hears it at night. He never did find it. What?
So now we're inside the inner part of the distillery. Read that? Yeah, we read that.
Is that?
Yeah. So you see why they're called the Bottle Street Gang. I mean, they're based on Bottle Street, but they also spit these flammable liquor at you. Here's the still. Instructions. Attach an empty elixir vial to the spout before you turn the thing on. Turn the valve on. Collect the full vial. Repeat until empty. Pretty easy. Do not break vials. Do not spill any elixir. No free swigs. So yeah, they just water it down. I don't know why they need to distill it. But we can also get some free elixir here if you fill these up before you infect it. Always top up before you grab an extra if you're close to filling your capacity of elixir. Spring razor. Alright, here's Slackjaw's desk. Elixir accounts. I won't read all these, but these are all the people that are buying the bootleg elixir from the gang. So you see a lot of families, businesses, individuals. But these are all the people that are counting on this elixir to not get the plague. If you look at the bottom, you see Morris Sullivan, who's the name of the torturer. I don't know if it's the same person or if they just reused the name or what, but so I normally don't do this, as I said, but you can infect it, contaminate the elixir with plague, and then we can go back to Granny for our birthday present. See if we can get out. I can't remember if we can get out this way or not. I think so. Oh! Don't know if there's another launcher somewhere, so just go over that.
That's an east lever, Rodney. Okay, I got one for you. Well, give it. Okay, here goes. The nobleman laid with the scullery maid, so loudly they made quite a riot. The nobleman's wife took the butchering knife and carved herself species.
Recipe for Craxton. Craxton, I'm coming tomorrow to check on the batch. Make sure you're wearing pants this time, and stick to the recipe. 1 part Sokolov's elixir, 1 part beach gum paste, 2 parts sugar water. That's it. The more of the real shit you cut in, the less there is to spread around, and the less coin I make. This ain't a charity. Slackjaw.
Now it's your turn. Oh, let me think. Okay.
The Distillery District. Excerpt from a pre-plague promotional book on products made in Dunwall. Across the Empire, Old Dunwall whiskey is not only the finest libation of its kind, but it's also an important cultural tradition among discerning folk, sophisticated and common alike. Captains moving their ships across the great ocean always have a bottle in their quarters for occasions. Fine restaurants and bars keep it in stock, and farmers across Bristol exchange Old Dunwall whiskey when healthy children are born. Some might disagree, preferring high-brow drinks such as King Street Brandy or one of the other brands from Morley, but sales of Old Dunwall have been brisk through the early years of Empress Jessamine Caldwin's reign, a trend that is expected to continue. Aged and bottled in Dunwall's Distillery District, Old Dunwall whiskey is what you want. It's probably more expensive now that they're not actually making it anymore. I was trying to figure out what it would taste like based on the descriptions, and I think it would be very briny, maybe smoky, thanks to the smoke of the city, so I figured maybe some kind of Islay Scotch, or some coastal Highland Scotch, Talisker, Clonelish, Scapa, something like that. Although it probably would not be that expensive, and wouldn't be that good, therefore, considering where it comes from. Alright, let's go. There's a little storage area outside the door here, but there's not a whole lot of loot in there, so I'm not going to bother.
The fucker you looking at. Blow off, chopper.
And that's the Distillery District. If you like fan fiction, I actually wrote a little fan fiction about Granny Rags and Slackjaw having a little confrontation. It's called Granny's Gift. It appears in the Dishonored fanzine, Cobbled Bits of Bone. You can read that if you are interested in that sort of thing. You can find it anywhere you search for it. It's the only time I've ever done fan fiction. See what the explosive bottle does.
Is anyone there?
Uh-oh. That might not have been smart. Well, Sometimes you can zip out of here really fast if you do that. Yeah. So Graffiti said, Hatters fired the first shot, Bottle Street Gang fired the last. So they took over the distillery in a kind of a gang battle. Alright, Granny. We did what you said.
I knew you wouldn't disappoint me. Now I can stroll along the waterfront in peace. And don't think I've forgotten your little gift. Go on upstairs, dear one. That will never wash. Never, never, never.
And we get another room. Go out those. And there aren't any here right now. But if you hang around this area, you'll see what she's calling her birdies are in fact rats. Just rats that swarm. She calls them her little birdies. See what she has to say.
Long ago, Granny Rags
Or what the heart has to say about her.
She wouldn't put the crackers on the right side of the tray, so we sacked her.
I can feel a great age ending.
Oh, that's just the location.
In her mind's eye, she is fancy trimmed and
I told him, peel it
fresh
off.
and young.
Peel it off so we can do it. That will never wash. Never, never, never.
She treads with purpose, and is not as frail as she seems. The children sometimes circle Granny Rags, following along and taunting. She has given herself fully to the outsider. Long ago, Granny Rags danced at court.
Okay, that's
that
it.
Will never watch. Never, never, never.
Okay, so I think this has been a long video. I'm going to go ahead and end it there.
All the others.
And pick up with the rest of the mission in the next one. Thanks a lot.